I want to talk about Psalms 1. Basically, the man, the blessed man who delights in love or the law of the Lord. It says this in verse 3 of Psalms 1. And he shall be as a tree that's planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth his fruit in his season. His leaves shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. I want to focus on this particular part of the verse that says, that brings forth his fruit in his season. Just because you abide in love and you're doing the right things and the good things in life doesn't mean that what you are trying to do will come to fruition immediately. This is very important to understand. Take, for instance, this business I'm doing right now. It hasn't come to fruition yet. It hasn't raked in tremendous sums of money. It hasn't done those things. But it will in its time if I stick with it. Because I'm sending out love. I'm sending out positive things. It goes for everything else. If you're not in business and you're working for someone and you're looking for positive things to happen there and you don't see it happening, continue to do good. Because it's not about the season being immediate, but the season happening in its time. Okay? Alright, let's talk about some of these summer blockbuster movies that have been panned by critics. We start off with Transformers The Last Night, which turned out to be a fun movie for me. And you can see here it has been panned by the critics. We also had the movie The Fate of the Furious. This has not been panned by critics. This movie actually has gotten a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but actually it was 44-45% on Rotten Tomatoes while it was making its money. Apparently the critics have come around to it. Then we have Pirates of the Caribbean, which have been panned by critics, as well as we have here The Mummy, which has been panned by critics. I want to show you a couple of facts first before I go into what I have to say. So the first thing is The Mummy has grossed in $350 million. It had a budget of $125 million. Needed to make $250 million to break even. Less than $250 million actually. And it more than done that. It has actually made $100 million already profit. Okay? Pirates of the Caribbean. At the box office, it has grossed in $711 million. And it had a budget of $230 million. Needed to make $460 million to break even. And it more than did that. Okay? Then you have Transformers The Last Night. Transformers The Last Night, as you can see, it had a budget of $217 million. Needed to make $434 million. It made $435 million so far. It's not done. It's just a couple days into it, so you can see it's making its money, as well as you have also The Fast and Furious 8, and it had a budget of $250 million. Needed to make $500 million to break even. Made $1.2 billion. My point being this: you saw all kinds of negative press in the media about these films. Okay, here's another bit of points I want to talk about. Let's start with Transformers. Okay, Transformers The Last Night. They bashed it. Then they're saying, it's not performing, it's underperforming, blah 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 blah. Well, let's look. First Transformers movie grossed in $709 million. Second Transformer movie grossed in $836 million. Third Transformers movie made $1.1 billion. And fourth Transformers movie did $1.1 billion. Currently, remember this Transformers movie, it's just begun to do its thing. It's $435 million in. Okay? Will it make $1 billion? Maybe, maybe not. But what I do know is this. If you look at these budgets, the opening weekends, here's what we got. We got $70 million here for the first Transformer movie. Second Transformer movie, $108 million. The third Transformer movie, and this is domestically in the United States of America, $97 million. And the fifth Transformer movie, $100 million. Okay? So this Transformer movie began, and its opening weekend, they say $44 million. That's not true. That's erroneous information. It was $70 million, I believe. Or $69 million, I think. Let me see. The actual figures will show up somewhere here. This is a lie, though. It's not 44 million. So even Box Office Mojo is against this thing for some reason. I don't know why. But I think it's politics. If you look at all of these movies, all right, they're all sequels or reboots. Right? Right? Transformers is the 5th in the Transformers franchise. Very much a Transformers movie. Actually, it was enjoyable. I thought it was more enjoyable than the first Transformers movie. So kudos to Michael Bay. If you know Michael Bay's films, The Rock, Bad Boys 2, they're all big action-packed films. And that's what Michael Bay does. He does action, okay? The story is secondary to the action, but the story, this movie did have a story, okay? It did have a story. And, again, the critics ignore genre or something. It's an action-adventure movie. It's got some dramatic elements, yes, but it's not really a drama, and it obviously is science fiction and fantasy. But first and foremost, it's an action adventure, and it's really a good action adventure because you've got to go find things. That's the adventure there. That's how all Transformer movies are. You got to go find something, and a little twist in there, you know, and some interesting things. A lot of backstory on the Transformers. And the interesting thing about Transformers The Last Night, it seems as though they're going to branch off into their own Transformers universe. So it's very interesting that the critics would like to hate on this movie because there's a certain feeling that Hollywood is only trying to exploit franchises now. And they're trying to exploit universes. Everybody's trying to launch a universe. This is their thing. So Paramount is trying to get their universe of Transformers going. And I don't see this as a bad thing. And I really liked the Transformers franchise. But I think that the hate that's coming down on this movie is because they're thinking of launching a universe. There's a lot of politics going on here. Okay? As to the critics, this is what they had to say. Cacophonous, thinly veiled, and boasting state-of-the-art special effects. The Last Night is pretty much what you would expect from the 5th installment of Transformers franchise. Yeah, exactly. It's not cacophonous. Is it thinly plotted? No, it's actually had more plot than the first Transformers movie, but that's expected. It's a Transformers movie. What do you expect, right? When people go to see summer blockbusters, they're not going to see mind-riveting movies. You know, the irony of the situation is if you don't have a certain formulaic sort of protagonist-driven film, these people immediately bash the movie. All right? Look at what some of these critics said, negative reviews, right? Listen to this idiot. Okay? I'm not going to try to explain the story after watching this movie. I may never try to explain another story ever again. Alright? Oliver Jones. That's because you don't know what the story is. You can't follow it. All the best moments in the movie, pure images devoid of symbol, and for all that matter, nearly empty of sense, go by too fast and are held too briefly and are developed too little. What the hell are you talking about? The story was a story. It was moving along. Distilled to its essence, The Last Night is an orgy of incoherence. No, that's not true. So, this is the kind of nonsense that we have to deal with when we're dealing with critics. But then again, critics don't really take to action movies on a whole, so it's not new. But this is the thing that's disturbing. When the audience in North America actually goes with the critics. Okay? Now, these critics, you must remember, there are two very important things you must understand. A lot of these critics watch a lot of movies. That's one. Two, after a while, these critics are fatigued with seeing certain franchises. You can see they're fatigued with the Fast and Furious franchise. They started bashing it, and then people protested because they realized that the movie was good and they enjoyed it. And because of that, the critics rescinded, and you see that it's 66% now on Rotten Tomatoes. But Transformers The Last Night is the same thing like Fast and Furious. It is what it is. It's an action flick. And the thing you go to see is Transformers. And you actually saw the Transformers in this movie. There was a lot of Transformers, a lot of Transformer-centric stuff going on in the movie, which I liked. That's what I think. This is the best Transformers movie of all the Transformers movies I've seen. I've seen 3 of them, okay? Including this one. So, you had, I think I saw the first Transformers movie. Then I saw Dark of the Moon. And those two, to be honest with you, they're not as good as this one. This one, The Last Night, is the best Transformer movie I've seen. I haven't watched the other two, okay? And my point being this. I don't know what the critics were looking for when they went to see this movie. I don't know what they expected from it. But as far as I'm concerned, it definitely falls in line with the other 2 Transformer movies I saw. Okay? I haven't seen the other 2 to connect the dots to say whatever. But you didn't even need to know. You didn't even need to know anything about Transformers. The movie explained what the Transformers were and explained the knights that were there before and who the Last Knight was, you know, and that they were actually Transformers before Optimus Prime, who you thought was the first Transformer. Doesn't mean that Optimus Prime and they didn't come to Earth and discover Earth. And then we find out that Earth is Unicron. So that's why all these Transformers keep on coming to Earth. So, I mean, It's an alternate reality to ours, but the point is, I don't get it. Okay? I really don't get it. Okay? So, yes, based on facts that I just gave you, I think the critics, they want one kind of movie where you can follow a protagonist all the way through the movie. You know, what's the travesty of justice here? Transformers has gotten justice, sort of, in these movies, and they actually are. I can actually follow the action this time. But what is sad to me is that you take a Christopher Nolan Batman film, which is not a Batman film. Okay. It's not a Batman film. It's a travesty to Batman comics. It's atrocious travesty to Batman comics. It's a good movie, but it's a travesty to Batman comics. And they praise that. And they say that's the best comic book movie ever. And I'm like, oh my God. Why are we listening to the critics? You know what I'm saying? But we do, for some reason. People listen to the critics. Even though not enough, thank God. Other people have realized that the movies are good enough, and they go out and actually watch them. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm just saying this to show you what you see at the box office. Now, let's look at, as like I said before, Transformers. You saw the box offices. You see what Transformers is doing, how it is moving along. Let's look at some others. The Mummy. Right? It started off with $80 million. It made $415 million. Okay? The Mummy. Okay? That was back in 1999. But every Mummy movie, oh, by the way, the Mummy movies, it opened with $43 million, okay? Second Mummy movie, because there was another one. The Mummy Returns. The Mummy Returns, it grossed in $433 million again. It's opened with $68 million, okay? Then we had The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I don't even know what this one. I've never seen this one. And anyway, it opened with $40 million. It grossed in $401 million, okay? The last Mummy, which is this most recent Mummy, which opens up another universe. Notice again, opening up a universe. And the critics may not like that we're going to have a whole bunch of these Mummy movies and all this stuff. We don't want that. They are against universes opening. You would notice that by now. Okay? The DCEU opened. They banged on the DCEU with Man of Steel when they realized a universe could open. You know, because it's rivaling Marvel. I don't know what their problem with universes opening. Okay? But they don't like it, okay? This Mummy, the most recent Mummy, opened $31 million. $350 million is made. It's made its bank. It's falling in line with all the other Mummy movies. I don't understand. What's the problem? Yet they say, oh, this is the least performing Mummy and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay? I don't understand. What's the problem? What's the problem? We have a lot of competition for entertainment these days, but what's up with this? Why the hate? Alright? We look at Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Pirates of the Caribbean. First Pirates of the Caribbean, $654 million, opened with $46 million. Okay? Second Pirates of the Caribbean, opened with $135 million, grossed over $1 billion. That's dead man's checks. Third Pirates of the Caribbean, opened with $114 million, $963 million was the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Right? All of these were hailed as great movies and blah, blah, blah. Right? Pirates on the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, $1.1 billion basically, opened with $90 million. Okay? Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, opened with $62 million, and so far has grossed in $711 million. More than the first Pirates of the Caribbean. But all this negativity about Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't understand. Okay? The movie's been out for a little while. It usually grosses along with time. So if it crosses $1 billion, it could still cross $1 billion because it grosses along with time. Even though I doubt it's going to cross $1 billion, right? Because internationally, this film usually grosses the most of its money. See, it goes like, you see, internationally always grosses more than domestically. Okay, that's just what happened with the Pirate Caribbean movie series. That's just the way it was. Internationally, people enjoyed it more. Alright, so this one's still on its way. It can blow by $1 billion again. Okay, because Pirates of the Caribbean, that's what it does. It's an action-adventure thing. People go into it to see action and adventure. And special effects. That's what they go to see these movies for. They don't go to be provoked mentally and stimuli and see the plot match together perfectly. It's entertainment, for crying out loud. And then look at the damn genre. Look at the genre for Pirates of the Caribbean. What's it called? action adventure. So what did you expect? You look at The Mummy. The Mummy is action, drama, horror. Okay, that makes sense. It's The Mummy, so it's going to be a horror film. It's going to have action and adventure, and it'll have some drama. It may even have some humor. Okay? I don't know. I didn't see the movie, so I can't tell you much about that one. But the point is, these critics and these people who follow these critics and think that a movie's been accepted because the critics didn't accept it or whatever. Look how many critics actually look at a movie. In this case, when we look at The Fate of the Furious, it was only 233. You're going to let 233 people form your opinion of a movie? Really? Look, for the critics here, for, what's this? Pirates of the Caribbean, right? How many people actually did it? 212. That's even less. When we look at, The Mummy, 230. Okay? When we look at Transformers, 169. 169 people. You're going to let 169 people form your opinion? But that's how it is. Once you go to Rotten Tomatoes, you see a score on Rotten Tomatoes, all of a sudden that's what it is. Alright? Let's go to The Fate of the Furious. So, Fast and Furious films. First one, 207 million. Second one, 236 million. Third one, 158 million. Fourth one, 363 million. Fifth one, 1.5. Something's wrong here. I'm missing some. But anyway, fifth one should be somewhere around here. This is the sixth. I'm missing a Fast and Furious. Anyway, who cares? Let's move on. Sixth one, 788 million. Seventh one, 1.5 billion. Eighth one, $1.2 billion. I mean, come on now. So they know they can't go these movies because at the end of the day, they've been bashing Transformers for the longest while. And Transformers just been churning in that cash. And it's going to continue to churn in that cash. Why? Because Transformers is an interesting franchise. People like the Transformers. They like their personalities. We got Dinobots. We got Autobots. We got Decepticons. We got this otherworldly thing. Michael Bay's building up a universe. And he's starting to introduce you to these characters, other characters in the universe. So, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, at the end of the day, Transformers going to make bank. And it's going to continue to make bank forever. Okay? So you might as well get with the program or get out of the game. And I liked it. I actually liked it. It wasn't as sleazy. It wasn't as raunchy with the humor. The characters actually were likable. All right? I liked the lady, historian lady. She was actually funny throughout the movie. And it was just interesting how she and Mark Wahlberg worked in it. There's some fantastical things, like, you know, the scenes where Mark Wahlberg's fighting with the robots, and there's a lot of, I mean, it's over the top. It's like Fate of the Furious. It's over the top kind of action. But then that's how Michael Bay has always done his films. You look at The Rock, Bad Boys 2. That's how it is. It's over the top action. Fate of the Furious. Yeah, they have some good stunts and stuff, but it's still also over the top. Okay? And Transformers, it never takes itself seriously like that. You hear them throwing in jokes all the time. And, you know, they said, oh, you have to hear Anthony Hopkins say, dude. No, he was talking to the guy, so he's trying to talk to him in the language he could understand. Okay? I just don't get people, man. It was good. It was good. Alright, so, Transformers the Last Night. Let's talk about it. We already talked about the box office and stuff already, right? So, my point is that this movie is an action, adventure, drama, science fiction. Okay? The drama element of this film, it's got some drama between the Transformers themselves. That is true. But for the most part, it's an action-adventure flick. Okay? It's not supposed to be super deep and none of that. You're following. You're trying to find out what this particular clue is that leads to the next clue. In the meantime, people are trying to rush. There's a competition to try to get to the clue. The drama and the tension is in the fact that they're being chased, and the fact that they are being chased by multiple different people with multiple different agendas, and to get the same artifact. That's what it is. So I don't understand why this is a big deal, you know? And I like how it's linked to King Arthur's stuff and the Knights of the Round Table, and then really the real Knights of the Round Table are not from Earth. You know what I'm saying? I like it. I like the whole movie. I like what they're doing with the Transformers franchise. And it's not just to sell toys. Transformers for time immemorial was about selling toys anyway. No, it's about bringing these things and these concepts and these characters to life. And it's not. I don't think the next place we're going to see a Transformers movie is going to be on Earth. I think it's going to be in space. Finally! Which is what I want to see. I want to see Transformers in space. Which leads me to Shia LaBeouf's character. Shia LaBeouf, he seems to have died. Which is very interesting as well. So, all I can say is that this movie was awesome. Anthony Hopkins dies at the end of the movie too, which is very interesting. And the butler guy who serves Anthony Hopkins, he seemed to have served people for time immemorial. He's a little crazy in his head as well, which is pretty interesting. All of the Transformers had character. This is what was fun about them. It wasn't just robots you were watching at. You know, there were actual robots that the TRF had. But the Transformers, they weren't just robots. They were personalities and they had behavioral patterns and stuff. It was really cool. And I think that's what made the movie. For once, Michael Bay actually really focused on the Transformers. You know, it wasn't Shia LaBeouf. It wasn't Mark Wahlberg who was the center of the movie. It actually was focused more on the Transformers. I like that. Alright, so anyway, at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that critical reviews and people who buy into the critics, especially in North America, you guys need to deprogram your brain from that because you're getting brainwashed by critics. I mean, look at this. Spider-Man Homecoming has 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics are raving praise on Spider-Man Homecoming. You really think Spider-Man Homecoming is that much different from Transformers The Last Night in terms of content? You really think you're going to get a deep, you know, thought-provoking movie in Spider-Man Homecoming? Hell no, you don't expect that. You expect to be emotionally attached to Peter Parker. I'm pretty sure you will, because there's just one stupid protagonist in the entire movie, and there's one main villain. Alright? Transformers went beyond that, showing you multiple villains, multiple villainy, someone trying to be a puppet master. Okay? We have multiple protagonists in the movie. It's so much more than just telling a story from one person's perspective and following that one person through the story. Why is it the critics cannot open their minds to the fact that storytelling can be done multiple ways? Why is it that these critics are so one-dimensional in how they go to enjoy a movie? Why is it you have to over-process a movie? If I want to find flaws in a movie, I can. Spider-Man Homecoming, I can find flaws. If you want me to tear that movie to shreds, all you got to do is pay me. And I do it. Easy. And I convince everybody. It's a hot pile of mess. I can do that. Why? Because, you see, there are different styles and different ways of telling stories. But guess what? Michael Bay has his way of telling the story. Big, grand, massive, over-the-top way of telling the story. Okay, he does everything big because it's IMAX and he's trying to push the boundaries on how you do special effects as well. So, where Michael Bay is going to get slammed and where Spider-Man Homecoming is going to shine has to do with politics. Wonder Woman is doing so well at the box office because of politics, because of these stupid critics. They think, oh, feminism, women behind it. Oh, Captain Marvel's coming after. You hear them say that. They blatantly say it. Okay? It's politics going on in this industry. So don't buy into the bullshit. Try to think for your own self. If there's a movie you want to go see it. Alright, I wasn't hot up on seeing Transformers The Last Night, and to be honest with you, it's just like any other Transformers movie I've seen. Okay? I've seen 2 Transformers movies now, and The Last Night is no different. It's just like those, except it's not as raunchy in its humor. That's what I like. It's not as raunchy, it's much more clean. But other than that, and there are a lot more characters. I love that there's more Transformers. You know, I miss the Dinobots. The Dinobots are pretty cute and they're pretty funny. There's a little squeak in there. You know, each of the robots have character. We didn't see a whole lot of each of them. We didn't spend a lot of time on each of them. And for those people who are moaning about Optimus Prime only being in the movie for so long, you guys are spoiled rotten, man. You guys are spoiled rotten. I mean, Optimus Prime was in the movie, bits and pieces of the movie, but the movie wasn't about Optimus Prime. The movie was about the last night, for crying out loud. The last night! Ugh. Hence, Transformers, The Last Night. Stay focused. Stay focused! God! You people are spoilt rotten with movies these days. Talking about CGI and CGI. Shut the hell up! Gosh! Anyway, you guys have a great one.